live. We're live. We are live. Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today. Um, I'm on here because I want to talk about some things happening around college football. The first playoff poll is about to come out here in a few weeks, not a few weeks, in a few days rather, this Tuesday. I think the big question is who's going to be number two. Who's going to be number two? You look at who's number one. It's going to be Georgia. Who's going to be number two though? Is it going to be Cincinnati, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Oregon? I think it's going to be one of those teams. I mean, you look around the country. A few notes from today. Scott Frost will be fired by the season's end. It will not surprise me if they decide to just let him go tomorrow or even tonight if the story breaks out here in a few minutes or so. It is bad in Lincoln, Nebraska. It is bad, and the thing is, here's the thing about Nebraska. And I'm going to tell you who's going to be the next Nebraska coach. Or I'll just tell you now. It's going to be Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is going to be the next Nebraska coach, in my opinion. They just need someone a little bit more hard nosed. I think they'll win. I think they'll be making bowl games at least. And I think that's what you'll get out of Bill O'Brien. I think Bill O'Brien will be the next Nebraska coach. But you look around the landscape of college football. Auburn looks like they're going to beat Ole Miss. That's a big win for Auburn. Auburn wins out to the Iron Bowl there, both at 9-2. They control their own destiny. They'll have a big game against Alabama in Auburn there at Jordan Hare. Last two times the game was in Jordan Hare, Auburn did win that game. So definitely it's definitely a big game there if that happens at the end of the season. SMU, they'll try and drive down the field. It's 4th and 2, maybe to kick the field goal. Southern Cal up on Arizona. Let's see. Ohio State, though, fourth quarter coming up here, 27-24. Ohio State, I'm watching this one over Penn State. Give Penn State credit. They're laying it all out on the field. Here's the good news, though. Penn State plays the Terps next week. I do not know what time that game kicks off. I'm actually hoping it's a noon kickoff for obvious reasons. Here, I'll tell you. I'm sure the time's out already for that. So, no, there actually isn't a timeout for that yet. I hope it's a noon kickoff. I really do. Because if that's the case, Penn State's going to be sleepy and beat up. I mean, after a 9 overtime game and a game like this against Ohio State, that's going to be going down to the wire. Looks like it's going to be Illinois going into Sleepy College Park, and yeah, I'm taking a shot at home field advantage, but it is kind of sleepy. I do think that overall the it's going to be an interesting game. I hope it's at noon. Wisconsin should move into the top 10. Maybe the top 10 in the Big Ten. I mean, they weren't even in my top 25 this past week. Now they'll probably be in it this week. But there's no way Wisconsin's a top 10 team. There's no way. I'll look at their resume right now. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you there's no way that they're a top top 10 team. I mean, they lost to Penn State. Penn State most likely going to be a 3 loss team here. They went ahead and lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they're going to beat North Carolina. They're up by 2 touchdowns. Actually, 1 touchdown. North Carolina just scored 41-34. Fighting Irish in that one. They lost to Michigan. They have strung off 4 straight wins against Illinois. Okay, Illinois has that one big win. Army, okay. At Purdue, okay. Purdue's not bad. Purdue's not bad, and then Iowa today. So they'll be in the top 25, but they're not a top 10 team. I mean, come on, they're not a top 10 team. So I gotta sneeze. Hold on. I got my way. Probably sneak back. Anyways, sorry about that, but Iowa's not. I mean, not Iowa. Well, Iowa's not a top 10 team either after today, but Wisconsin's not a top 10 team. Wisconsin still has at Rutgers, Northwestern, Nebraska, at Minnesota. They could win out, go 9-3, 7-2 in the conference, get to that Big Ten championship game. So we'll see what happens. But they're not a top 10 team. But I do think they are a top 25 team. Fair enough. Fair enough, Packers GOAT. Um, but yeah, I want to talk. Who's going to be number two? I think you gotta put Oklahoma number two because they're the only other team undefeated. Cincinnati, past few weeks, Cincinnati has to blow out their opponents, in my opinion, to stay in a top four, top five conversation. They're not doing it. One win Tulane, and to Tulane's credit, they did give Oklahoma struggles as well. Went ahead and that game was what 31-12 the final. So I mean, I think Cincinnati deserves to be in that conversation. I think they are a top five team, but I don't know. I don't think they should be number two. I think Oregon should be ahead of Ohio State in any poll, primarily because of the head-to-head. So you got that going there. So Ohio State won't be number two. You look at Alabama, maybe they're number two. They had that loss to Texas A&M, but at the same time, they've beaten everybody else, with the exception of Florida, pretty easily. So we'll see what happens, but I think that it's going to be interesting. Who's 2, 3, and 4? It's interesting to see where Cincinnati's at as well. Auburn, they went ahead. They won 31-20 over Ole Miss. That's the final. That's a big win for Auburn. As I said a minute ago, Auburn they went ahead and they're going to go ahead and win. If they win out there, Penn State's got a big turnover. Penn State's going to take the lead. I don't know what happened. I was looking at the Auburn score. Houston scored a touchdown as well. They went up 44-37. If they can hold on, they'll get a big win there. But Auburn, they can win out into the Iron Bowl. That game could be for the SEC West Championship. They're probably not going to be that high because they're going to be reintroduced to the poll. But they could be maybe 18. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I have to do my poll, obviously. Which I'm going to actually probably start the process of that now. Here. So let's do that for week 10. I'm going to start the process because we already know who number one is. I think everybody knows who number one is. They won 34-7 against Florida. Oh yeah, I said I think earlier before the game started, I didn't think that Dan Mullen would get fired at the end of the year. Yeah, I kind of think he might be gone at the end of the year now. Oh, it came back. They took it off the board. 3rd and 7 here. I don't know what happened. I need to pay attention to this game. Okay. CJ Stroud takes the snap. Checks it down. If he can make that tackle, he's short. Yep. It's going to be 4th and what? 3 maybe? Do you go for this if you're Ohio State? Go up by 6. BYU up 14-0 early on Virginia. Um, hmm. They're going for it. 4th and 3. They're going for it. Let's see. CJ Stroud takes the snap. He has the guy. Oh, he missed him. He missed him. Penn State ball. 1st and 10 at the own 16-yard line. He underthrew him. I think you take the field goal there as well because then you force Penn State to score a touchdown. Right guy to throw it to. He just underthrew that CJ Stroud. And that's been the issue with CJ Stroud this year. He's not the best. He's underthrown some balls. He's overthrown some balls. I think Ohio State is a very good team, but I question CJ Stroud's ability against these top teams. I do. Let's see what else is going on in the league or in the country rather. Oh yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk about Michigan State. Um, that game was still going on when I was recapping Maryland earlier today. Michigan State beat Michigan 37-33. Michigan blew a 30-14 lead. I think I said 30-13 in the earlier live stream. It was 30-14. If you're Michigan, and I saw on Twitter a lot of people calling for Jim Harbaugh's job. They shouldn't be. I think Michigan could go into Ohio State out at 10-1 because they'll beat Penn State, in my opinion. They'll go ahead. They'll beat Indiana. They'll beat Maryland, in my opinion as well. If you take if you're Jim Harbaugh, you go in that game 10-1. You're going to be probably an underdog by 7 to 10 points. Looking at how Michigan's playing this year, the defense, you can't keep that. You could keep that defense off balance as you can see today, but at the same time, I think there'll be some adjustments made, and it comes down to the Ohio State game. If you could beat Ohio State, you're probably in the Big Ten championship game. Even though I'll be honest with you, I think Michigan State can run the table go undefeated from what I watched today. But if you're if you lose that game, you're 10-2, 7 shot, 11 wins. I think a lot of people were expecting Michigan to be 7-5, like I was. I had the final prediction of 7-5 here. So if they go 11-2, that's a good season. So I would not fire Jim Harbaugh. Wisconsin's defense, it's been good all year rather. Your defensive coordinator's name is escaping me. I know it's Jim something. I know that. Um, he's doing an excellent job with that defense. What bowl would the Badgers make? Not the Rose Bowl because they're going to lose to whoever. If they make the Big Ten championship game, they're going to lose to whoever comes out of the East, in my opinion. If it's Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State, I think it's going to be Michigan State or Ohio State. Um, if you look at the other bowls, though, what bowls they can make, I see them making the Outback Bowl or the Citrus Bowl. Probably one of those two. They could make a New Year's Six Bowl, maybe one of the at-large bids. They could, but I'll probably say probably the Citrus or Outback Bowl because I honestly think Wisconsin, even if they're in the Big Ten championship game, I say they're ranked number 12 in the Big Ten championship game. They win out, they're 9-3. They're ranked number like 12. At least one of the teams in the Big Ten East, not in the Big Ten championship game, is going to be ranked ahead of them, in my opinion. So, and I think they will want that team to get one of those at-large bids in the Big Ten, in the New Year's Six Bowl. So I will probably say either Citrus or Outback Bowl, um, which is good. I mean that's one step below New Year's Six Bowl. It's going to be better than my Maryland Terps, though. It's going to be better than that. If Maryland makes a bowl game, they're going to probably if Maryland makes a bowl game, it's probably going to be the last bid for the Big Ten. So we'll see what happens. Maryland season comes down to that Rutgers game, in my opinion, more than anything. Okay, second and 3, first down, Penn State. But other games today, Kentucky got upset by Mississippi State. Mike Leach, 3-2 in the SEC. You look at Mississippi State's schedule here. I know they still have Ole Miss. I said at the beginning of the season they're pulling off that upset. I'm sticking to it. Um, I believe they still have Arkansas. Yeah, they have Arkansas next week, at Auburn next week, at Arkansas. So this is their schedule: at Arkansas, at Auburn, Tennessee State at home, and then Ole Miss. If they go 2-2 in that, go 7-5, they'll have a crack at 8 wins, which I think they will get to. So if you're a Mississippi State fan, it's been a good season. If you could get to at least that 6-win mark, Penn State just threw a bad interception. Sean Clifford just threw a horrible interception. It's not going to be a pick six, but that was a horrible, horrible interception by Sean Clifford there. I mean, if you score a touchdown here, if you're Ohio State, that might ace the game. That's a horrible interception there by Sean Clifford. And that's why I'm leaning towards picking Maryland next week against Penn State because at the end of the day, I mean, like, look, that was just horrible. I don't. I mean, I get, and I understand that read, but I mean, he has to get. He can't just throw that up there for grabs. I mean, that was a give me. But James Franklin, we all know. What about Orange Bowl? Are you talking about Texas? Are referring to Orange Bowl? Because my opinion about Texas is Town. I'm never gonna let Texas fans get away without bragging how we have a 2-game winning streak against y'all. How we swept you in that offseason during that non-conference agreement. Um, my thought about Texas is that they have a first-year head coach. Um, they probably will end up in a bowl game. They just got to go 2-2. We'll see what happens, but it could be one of those things. If you go, they might be going into the final week 5-6. I mean, they're at Iowa State. They're probably an underdog in that one. They'll beat Kansas, even though Oklahoma has had some issues with that. At West Virginia, to me, that's a pick 'em, and then Kansas State at home. Very possible you go into that game 5-6. Kansas State just had a big win against TCU, so that's good for Kansas State. But the only real give me there is Kansas. So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be 4th and inches here, or 4th and 1 for Ohio State here. So they're probably gonna go for this here. But yeah, very if you're Texas, you're gonna have to either you beat Kansas State at home on the Friday after Thanksgiving, or you're gonna have to find a way to go in the vote and beat either Iowa State or West Virginia. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think the Texas team is as good as last year's team. And Ohio State got the first down. Henderson ran the ball, he cut to his right and got about 3-4 yards there. But I'm gonna give you a list. I'm gonna give you all a list of coaches that are gonna be fired at the end of the year or not gonna be with the team at the end of the year. I'm only counting Power 5 schools. I'm not counting Group of Fives. Because and to me, in my opinion, those schools don't have as much money. So if they have a few, it's at least going to take a few bad seasons. Excuse me. In the ACC, Justin Fournette, I know he got a big win today, a must win in my opinion. I think he's gone at the end of the year. I think Justin Fournette's gone. Manny Diaz, I'm not. We'll see. I mean, I know Miami fans want him gone. They have some big wins. They won 2 straight big games here against NC State and Pitt against ranked opponents. So it's not. So I mean, do you want him gone? I mean, if they win out Miami, I think you keep him. So we'll see what happens there. Miami. We'll look at their whole thing here. If I can find it, but let's see. CJ Stroud. Woes out. He's gonna lose a few yards. A sack technically. Yeah, if you look at Miami, Georgia Tech at home, that's a game you need to win. At Florida State, that's a pick 'em in my opinion. Virginia Tech at home, you gotta win that at Duke. Very possible Miami finds themselves going 8-4, possibly getting a ninth win if they could get to the if they could go ahead and get to a bowl game in which they were at 8-4. They can win that bowl game. They have the tiebreaker against Pitt. So if Pitt and Miami both have 2 losses in the ACC. Miami's going to the ACC championship game. I believe Miami also, but I believe Virginia controls their own destiny as well. They haven't played Pitt yet, haven't they? No, they haven't. So that Virginia at Pitt game is going to be huge. Virginia's next 2 games are non-conference games at BYU. They have a bye, then Notre Dame at home, and then at Pitt. That game's going to be huge there because technically Virginia they control their own destiny as well. Second 2 here, I'll answer your question here in a second after the second 2 here, Eli. Hand it off, he gets nowhere. So 3rd down here for Ohio State. Wake should be in the playoffs if they go 13-0, in my opinion. They should. That's a Power 5 conference. If they're 13-0, you got to put them in there. Now, if they have 1 loss, if you look at Wake Forest, I know they have a big game next week against North Carolina, but I believe that's a non-conference game. Even though if you're in Wake's situation, you got to go ahead and win that game on the road. North Carolina, they are in the shootout right now, Notre Dame, but you look at Wake Forest, they got a dominant win over Duke at North Carolina. That's going to be a huge game for them. Then, I mean, the whole month of November is kind of a gauntlet for them. No flag. Okay, 4th and 3. You gotta kick this field goal if you're Ohio State. You can't go for this again if you're Ohio State. Um, but it's kind of a gauntlet at North Carolina, NC State, at Clemson, at Boston College. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not surprised me Wake Forest goes 0-4 in that. I don't think they go 4-0 in that gauntlet. I don't. But I do think that if they go undefeated, win the ACC championship game against either Pitt, Miami, or Virginia, they should be in the playoffs. Ohio State just kicked the field goal up 30-24, 7:13 left. Well, it's the same thing. I mean, you look at Cincinnati. I mean, to me, Notre Dame's going to go 11-1, but their schedule's weak. I mean, the one loss to Cincinnati, and the rest of their schedule's weak. I mean, if you look at Notre Dame's schedule, look at that schedule up here. Who's their second best opponent? Wisconsin. I mean, and no shot to Wisconsin. That's going to be a rank ride. I think that's going to end up as a team in the top 25 that's going to be ranked in the playoff top 25. But I mean, you look at these games at Florida State, they barely survived. Florida State's not going to be nowhere near the top 25. Toledo in the top 25. And they're nowhere near the top 25. They escaped that one. The Purdue game. Purdue, they flirted with the top 20. It was the top 25 in the AP. They were never in my top 25, though. Wisconsin, they're going to be in the top 25 this week, most likely. Well, they probably will be in everybody's top 25 if they aren't already, including mine. So you have that win. You lost to Cincinnati. That's Cincinnati's lone big win. That's why I'm sitting here saying Cincinnati cannot be just beating Tulane 31-12. They cannot just sit here and be beating Navy 28-26. They can't be doing that because you look at Indiana, they're 2-6. They're probably destined to be 4-8 Indiana. And you look at the rest of Cincinnati's schedule. I mean, you have SMU twice, maybe or at least once. Maybe you get Houston, but I mean, if you're Cincinnati, you gotta be blowing out these teams, especially these top 25 teams you're facing. Like they gotta blow out SMU and Houston, in my opinion. But you look at Notre Dame. I'll continue. Close win on the road against Virginia Tech. I just said Justin Fortnett's out of a job at the end of the season. So that tells you what I think about them. Southern Cal is turmoil there. North Carolina, they're not a top 25 team. Navy, they're not good. At Virginia, I mean, I've seen Virginia in some top 25s. They continue. I mean, they're getting blown out right now, or they were down 14-0 early. They're coming off a bye week there. I can see Virginia maybe ending up in the top 25, possibly. Georgia Tech, they're not nowhere close to the top 25. Stanford, they have that one big win against Oregon, but outside of that, they're out. They're not really in the top 25. I don't think Wake Forest will be favored against Clemson. I just don't. I don't think. I think they'll be favored against everybody else. But I mean, for instance, and by the way, whoever the hell Clemson's facing, um, just take the opponent into points. That's what I'm doing here, basically. If I can find the game, I just saw it. I mean, I got hosed. You got hosed this week if you took the Clemson. If you took Florida State +9, because Clemson ran in for a touchdown the final play. If they did, you would have gotten that pick. I would have gotten that pick correct at Florida State +9, at least with the point spread. But I got hosed on that. But for instance, I took Syracuse +14.5. That was a 3-point game. I took Clemson. I mean, I don't just bet against Clemson. I mean, usually that works. It didn't work this week because people got hosed. I mean, it didn't work this week because you got hosed. But let me see. Boston College. Boston College, I think, was a 13-point dog in that one. I said take them. Um, as I said, I took Pitt. They're actually underdogs to Pitt by 3. I took Pitt -3. They're Louisville next week. I'm going to think they're actually going to be a slight favorite against Louisville. I would take Louisville. I just would. I don't care about the UConn game. Wake Forest. I still think they're going to be a 1 or 2 point dog. Wake Forest is. I still think that. South Carolina, I wouldn't take that, but I mean, there's several games here. I would take whoever's playing Clemson. I would. Okay, this is a big possession for Penn State here. They're down 30-24 here, 7:12 left. Wide out screen. They get about 5 yards. You look at you look at uh, I mean, you just look at the playoff race. I think 2, 3, and 4 is going to be interesting. I mean, some of it's going to play itself out. I think Wake should be favored too, but Vegas is going to say Clemson -2. That's what they're going to do. I'm telling you, it's free money. Take the free money, but at the end of the day, they're going to favor Clemson. I mean, they favor. I, I mean, it is interesting seeing Clemson struggle. They'll get to a bowl game because they still have UConn, South Carolina on the schedule. I actually think they beat Louisville next week. That's good. Yeah, that's a flag. Penn State did not score a touchdown, even though did he get pushed out? You know, they're talking about it. If he got pushed out, that's a touchdown. I don't think he did though. See what they do. Yeah, they're calling it. I would like to see. I'll tell you if he got pushed out. No, he did not get pushed out. That's the right call. He ran out of room. I mean, you can't make the argument he did, but he was already out of bounds before he got pushed. Yeah, I saw Wizards got a big win against the Celtics. They're the biggest surprise in the NBA, the Washington Wizards. It's 4th and 5. They're gonna have to punt this ball. Penn State, but I didn't watch a single dribble of the game. But I'm telling you, Wizards. From what I watched probably about 3, 4 games. They look pretty legit. The Wizards do. From Bradley Beal to Montrezl Harrell, even though I'm concerned about Montrezl Harrell in the playoffs because that's been an issue. From are they running a fake here? No, that was kind of a weird punt formation there. Did he fair catch it? Yeah. So it's gonna be a higher stakes ball, 1st and 10, like 22. Yeah, I mean you need a bigger sample size, but from everything I'm seeing, I said the Wizards would make the play-in tournament and get that 7th seed. They would finish with that 7th seed and get in the play-in tournament and get the 7th seed. As outside of the Nets, Bucks, and maybe the Heat and Sixers, the Wizards could look like they could beat any other team. Maybe the Knicks, but even then, I would take the Wizards over the Knicks. I'm not that sold on the Knicks. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a long season, 82 games. I know last year I think it was 72 games because they started the season a little bit later, but 82 game season is back. Yeah, I heard went to double overtime the Wizards game. 115, 112 was the final. It was I heard it was a great game. I'll watch the highlights later on, but I didn't catch any of the game. I was watching Georgia, Florida. I didn't doubt the West Unseld Junior hire though. I came on here and said it was a great hire, and no, I wanted Scott Brooks to go. My opinion was keep the same team, get rid of Scott Brooks. That was my opinion. Scott Brooks, I heard he's probably one of the nicest guys in the NBA. That's great and all. He's a mediocre coach. I think they got upgrade with Sunso Jr. I came on and said that I think they got upgrade, and it looks like so far they did. I know it's a different team because they traded Russell Westbrook, which I still think is a horrible trade. But Russell, I mean, he's 5-1. You only lost to the Brooklyn Nets by 14. I mean, that's not horrible. So we'll see what happens. But I'm very happy with what I'm seeing from the Wizards so far. Um, and as I said, it's an 82 game season, but I would like to see where we are maybe after January or going into January. But very good season so far. Yeah, I didn't know much about him either at first until I researched him. He um he went ahead. He came from the Nuggets. He coached the Washington Mystic. So he did that. He uh he was with the Nuggets. I know that. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with the football team with Washington. I thought they would be better than 2-5. I thought that defense would be better. That's the one concerning thing about them more than anything. I think that defense has been very bad. I mean, and even if that defense was good, I still think they'll be at best second place in that division, which I think they might be second place. Are the Eagles ahead of you guys? But I think it's 2-5. I think all three Giants and Eagles. I think they're 2-5 as well. I have the Eagles losing this week to Detroit. So we'll see what happens there. I forget who Washington's playing. I have the Giants losing Kansas City, but actually I know who Washington's playing. Let me look it up. They're playing. As I'm losing my voice here, they're playing. Actually, they're on a bye week, aren't they? No, they're not on a bye week. Who are they playing at? Oh, Denver. They could go up to Denver and beat them. I picked Denver to win that game because it's in Mile High, but I think they could beat Denver. I mean, I said Denver when they were 3-0 was the biggest frauds out there. Um, so we'll see. Henderson got loose. Has a big game about 20-25. No, they're not. The Ravens aren't a fraud. They just had a bad game. Final in South Bend, Notre Dame, they won 44-34. That's a good win for them there against a North Carolina team that's been a massive disappointment this year. The Ravens aren't frauds. 4 minutes left or 4:10 left in this game. We'll see what happens. If Ohio State get a field goal or they just got a false start, but if they get a field goal or a touchdown, they can ice this. My final score prediction was 34-19 Ohio State here. Yeah, Tony's well, every team, in my opinion, whether it's in football, whether it's college or the NFL, always has a game that they win that they're not supposed to win, a game that they lose that they're not supposed to lose. Tony's already had that, I think, with those two games. Um, I do think the Titans are the best team in the AFC, though. I think it's between them and the Bengals, and I guess you could throw the Bills in that conversation. Even though I think you gotta give the Titans a tiebreaker. Oh, nice catch, first down, Ohio State. But in my opinion, Titans are the best team in the AFC. Cardinals are the best team in the NFC. Question is, can Titans not lose to the Cardinals? Can Titans not lose to the Cardinals 37-14? I actually think Kansas City's going to win that division. They have a soft schedule for the next like 6 weeks. They'll get better. I actually think Kansas City's going to win that division still. Let's see. Do you trust the Chargers though? Do you trust the Chargers though? I don't, but that's just me. Okay, 3:13 left. At the conclusion of this, I'm shutting the stream down. I just want to hop on here and just kind of recap things, see what's going on. Oklahoma State beat Kansas like Oklahoma should have, 55-3. Let's see. It's going to be second, 13, 3:05 left. A Penn State player is injured. I still think from last week in that Kansas game, I think Kansas got robbed on what happened there with the handoff. I still think Kansas got robbed on that because he crossed the line of scrimmage. Yeah, they're not passing that eye test all right. I mean, they blew out Texas Tech, a team that doesn't have a head coach right now. Which, by the way, that I disagree with that firing there in Lubbock. Um, I know that was kind of a bad loss against Kansas State, but I mean, I was seeing improvement every year from Texas Tech under Matt Wells. Year 1 was 4-8. Year 2 was 4-6. So we'll say they would have gone 5-7 in a normal 12-game schedule. Year 3, they have 5 wins right now. They probably would have made a bowl game. I'm sure they would have gotten one more win. I'll tell you if they would have or not, based if they face Kansas or not. But I was sitting there saying if Texas Tech wins at 6-2, I think it got them in the top 25. They beat Houston, who's in the top 25. They had a win against them, dominant win too, 17-point win. I know they gave up 70 to Texas. I know TCU game was ugly, but I mean, you look at the following 3 games. I know it was against ranked teams, but it would not surprise me if they were been able to pick off either Iowa State or Oklahoma State, or even go in the room and beat Baylor. But I was seeing improvement. I know defensively there was some issues there, but and he was on the hot seat going into the season. I get that. Matt Wells, he was on the coaches in the hot seat video, which means he was on the hot seat. But they should have not fired him. I mean, he was showing improvement. Now next year, maybe if he didn't get to that 7-8 win mark, but they should not fire him. I think the 2 names that you need to look at for getting that job is Kendall Browse, OC at Arkansas, and Graham Harrell, the OC at Southern Cal. I think those are going to be the final. I think one of those 2 names are going to get it. Yeah, before the game started, I said that Dan Mullen won't be on the hot seat. It won't get fired. Let me reword that. I said that Dan Mullen would not get fired this year, but he'll be on the hottest seat next year. I think he's gone after this year because you look at Florida's schedule. I mean, very possible they finish the season 4-0. It's South Carolina, Missouri, and the SEC. It's Florida State. I think it's a nobody after that, outside of that. But let me get their schedule up here real quick. Let's see, Florida. Here we go. Yeah, Sanford. So they're at South Carolina next week. I expect them to win that game by double digits. Sanford, they'll win that. At Mizzou, they'll win that. Did Mizzou beat Vandy? Did they survive Vandy? Gotta check that one out. But and then Florida State at home. Florida State's playing better football, but they should win that one. Um, but in my opinion, I think Dan Mullen will be fired at the end of the season, unless he goes 4-0. If he goes 4-0, ends up 9-4, I guess you keep him for one more year, but he'll be on a really hot thin ice seat there after just looking up something. Okay, after going into the 2022 season. My opinion about Coach O is that I think he's a in my opinion, I would have kept him as well, but at the same time, I don't know necessarily if in my opinion, I actually think they're making the right move in the long term. Primarily because I do think that he I just think he's a great coach. I think he's a great big game coach, which a lot of coaches aren't. Looking at you, Michigan. Uh, but I will keep him just because I think he's a great big game coach more than anything. I mean, I don't know. I think he cares about the program. He's a Louisiana guy, so but we'll see what happens there. My guess is Billy Napier will be named the head coach because I just can't see James Franklin in LSU gear. I just can't see it. I think James Franklin's destined for Southern Cal. That's my honest opinion about it. That James Franklin, maybe Mel Tucker, but we'll see. Mel Tucker, you look at Mel Tucker. I mean, that guy he reminds me a lot of Barry Alvarez. I wasn't critical of the firing Mike Malarkey at all. As a matter of fact, I sat there and said good after they fired Mike Malarkey. Um, that guy just had, I mean, nice guy and all. Ohio State should kick this field goal here on 4th and 1, by the way. I'm hoping Mel Tucker should stay at Michigan State, but I mean, if you're offered that LSU job, you gotta take it. You gotta take it if you're Mel Tucker. I mean, you just got to. But Mike Malarkey just had a horrible coaching staff. Um, Tony's front office wanted him to fire basically his whole coaching staff. I mean, if you want me to be completely honest, the only reason I mean that was when Derrick Henry emerged because that was really the only reason they made playoffs. Um, I wouldn't say LSU's too impatient because a lot of people thought Coach O should have gone after 2018 and 2017. I wouldn't say they were impatient at all. But you look at we'll see if Ohio State could kick this field goal, get a 9-point lead going here. They could do that. The conference just aces the game. They got it. So 9-point game. We'll see what Penn State does here in the final 241. I don't think LSU's impatient though. I mean, yeah, it looks bad firing your coach after 2 years after a national championship, but 9-8. I don't think you. I wouldn't. Maybe a 3-year grace, but there's no way I'm giving a coach a 5-year grace after a national championship. There's no way I'm giving a coach a 5-year grace. I mean, it's college football, especially in the SEC like that. Um, I mean, I don't. In my opinion, if Coach O stayed the head coach this year, if the announcement was made he was going to be the head coach next year, he will at least be making bowl games there at LSU every year. So it's not. I don't think it's a Gene Kizik situation. But you look at, in my opinion, I do think a if he goes 8-4, no, he's not getting coach of the year at 8-4 in Maryland. I do think that Loxley got a big win though today. I do believe Loxley got a big win today because he needed that win, especially after last week's debacle. Last week's game was that game was very bad coach. That game was on coaching. That was a horrible coach game. especially defense. What a horrible game plan defensively against Minnesota. You know what Minnesota does? They run the ball every down. Uh, you're telling me you can't put more than 6 in the box against Minnesota? So I thought last week was a horrible game plan. That one you might be right about, but no, I mean Maryland has the talent around them, and they're in the DMV, as you know. In my opinion, I just think that they're in a it was a really bad situation. Mike Locksley took over. Finally looks like he has it going in the right direction. There still need to be more discipline. The football team's as undisciplined as it come, but he's at. I mean, if they get to a bowl game, even if it's at 6-6, it's still a good thing if he does that because they'll win the bowl game 7-6. Because at that point, you're probably facing a Group of 5 team. Um, I thought Matt Canada was good too, and I was fine with keeping him. But the reason why Loxley was hired is because of his familiarity with the DMV. But Canada did good for that 1 year as an interim. Don't get me wrong, he did very good in my opinion. I know LSU fans like pooping on Matt Canada, but I actually thought Matt Canada did an excellent job that 1 year for as the interim head coach there. I think he would have if we kept him. I think maybe Maryland would be a little bit better right now, but in the long term, I don't think it would have made a difference. But yeah, Matt Cannon definitely deserves credit for interim coach 1 year. Yeah, R.I.P. Jordan McNair, absolutely. I think it's an absolute disgrace that the guy, God, I forget the guy's name because I don't even want to think of his name. the I don't even want to think of that guy's names. He works for Ole Miss as the defensive coordinator and interim head coach again. I think it's absolutely disgraceful. I mean, I like Lane Kiffin, but that is disgraceful, Lane Kiffin. It is. DJ Durkin, that's his name. Yeah, fuck DJ Durkin. Absolutely fuck him. And I think what's worse is that they tried restaying him. I think that's what was the bad thing about it all. But good news is that basketball season's coming around. We'll have some high hopes for Maryland. They open up number 21 in the AP pool. In the preseason poll, they open up as number 21. But with Mark Trojan as head coach, the best we're getting is a Sweet 16. Yeah, I can't believe we extended Mark Trojan. Mark Trojan's not a good coach. I mean, he's not a bad coach. He's not a bad coach. And I actually thought he did a good job last year. It's just that at the end of the day with Trojan, in my opinion, I think that I think he can only go so far. Well, they got new facilities at Maryland, so maybe that would help a little bit. I still think. I mean, Frigian would have been retired by now, but it was idiotic firing him. I mean, why? Because he had one bad year. I mean, he didn't go 9-4 his final year. Like, didn't they actually not do bad his final year? Go 8-5 or something. I think he had like a 2-10 year or like a 3-9 year. But I mean, yeah, I agree. Firing him was idiotic. Penn State just missed a field goal. Actually, I think that might have been blocked. I don't know. Well, final on this one's going to be 33-24 Ohio State. I said Ohio State would get to 34. They got to 33. 9-4 and 1. That wasn't good. That was not good at all. James Franklin getting pissed because his guy missed a field goal down 9. I hate James Franklin. Dude, I love the news out of UConn. Randy, I mean, that game against Fresno State, I watched that game from start to finish, that Fresno State game in week 0. God, they look so bad, UConn. And then they said Randy Edsall was going to be going after this year. They decided, like, hey, he's going to retire after this year. And then 2 days later, it comes out, oh, he's actually going to retire immediately. And then you watch UConn play. I forgot who they played next, but they looked a lot more competitive against whoever they played. Um, yeah, Randy Edsall's horrible. That was a horrible decision to bring him in. I mean, I didn't really know enough at the time, but and then they fired him. They fired him in mid-season. Mike Locksley took over as the interim. Then what happened was they brought in DJ Durkin. They brought him in. He had one okay season, and then the whole Jordan McNair incident happened. So then you have Matt Canada as a year as an interim. Matt Canada did a great job as an interim, in my opinion. I know they didn't make a bowl game, but they could have very easily made a bowl game. I'm high on Locksley. I think Mike Locksley has us going in the right direction. I really do. And last week I was very critical of him because I did not understand that defensive play. And I know he's an offensive guy, but I was like, Coach Locks, this is the third time you're facing Minnesota here as head coaches at Maryland. You know what they do. They run the you know what out of the ball. They love sucking up time off the clock. Why didn't they only have 6 guys in the box? And I criticize him for that. But he needed this win today. He got it. Even though I'm gonna be honest with you, that Maryland should have gotten the cover. That defense possession at the end was horrible. But 38-35, we'll take a win anyway we could get in the Big Ten. Um, and they get Penn State at home next week. I'm hoping it's a noon game. James Franklin, I think this was in watching this game, I think this was the last hurrah for Penn State. I mean, maybe to give Michigan a good look. I still think this defense is good for Penn State. But I think this was the last hurrah. In my opinion, I think Penn State's going to shut it down. And by me shut it down, I think they're going to look like they did in the first half of the season last season. I don't think this team is going to sort of like what they did after they started the season 0-2. Remember what happened after they started the season last year 0-2? Man went up there and stomped an absolute mud hole in Happy Valley. It made it Sad Valley. Very Sad Valley, I might add. So I'll like to see what the spread is for next week's game. It'll come out. We'll pick the game, but I think we beat Penn State. I do. I do. I'm someone who I'm not that confident in it, but they can make a few plays. It's at home, especially if it's a noon start. I would love that game to be a noon game because I mean, you saw it today. College Park. It was kind of a sleepy environment. It was homecoming this week in College Park, but I think the fans will show up. I think it's kind of a sleepy environment. If Maryland can stay in that game, maybe make a play or two in the fourth quarter, get out of there with a win. I think that could be huge for the Terps. I really do. But yeah, I'm never. Don't ever schedule home games again for Maryland on Friday nights. That Iowa game was horrifically bad. I mean, I said we were going to lose the game. Don't get me wrong, but there was no way I thought that game was going to be 51-14. I think I had the score 27-21 or like 30-20, something like that. But there was no way I thought we would have lost that game 51-14. And now looking at Iowa now, what are they going to be ranked up at 20? So because all of a sudden the Penn State game, I'm serious about Penn State. I think they're going to fall off a cliff this month. But this is a good win for Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. They had earned this one, but I think Penn State falls off a cliff. But in my opinion, I do think that and Kirk Herbstreit's he's saying it's gonna be Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Cincinnati, in the 1 through 4. Then the first 2 hours, Michigan State and Oklahoma. I just, in my opinion, I think I God, I agree with Georgia at 1. I agree with that. I think you got to put Oregon ahead of Ohio State. I just think you have to. I know this loss against Stanford wasn't good, but I think you just got to base off the win. They actually they rushed the field for this one. That's if you're Ohio State. I mean, in the McD Sports 4 top 25, this was number 2 Ohio State versus number 21 Penn State. And it's going to change the top 25. I'm going to change it so it makes sense. But until Oregon loses a second game, I think got to put Oregon ahead of Ohio State. But in Cincinnati, I mean, I, I mean, to me, it's tough. It really is. And we'll have a top 25 out Monday morning at the latest. I'm going to try to film tomorrow morning. I have kind of a busy morning tomorrow, but that's okay. But anyways, just want to hop on here. Pac-12 is garbage, though. I agree, but at the same time, I do think there's some teams in the Pac-12 that, like for instance, well, I guess you can't say it anymore. I think it's the Pac-12 is garbage. I tried making an argument, but I just can't bring myself to it. But at the same time, the ACC is garbage as well. If Wake Forest is undefeated, they're going into playoffs, in my opinion. If there's not more than 4 undefeated teams, including Cincinnati, so we'll see what happens. If, but this is good for Ohio State. They need this one. They have Nebraska next week. Who knows what the hell you're getting out of Nebraska next week? Scott Frost could be gone. Maybe they keep Scott Frost at the end of the season. We'll see what happens. But I'm gonna end the stream now. So I'm gonna end it. Thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate you do that. DB signing off.